Hey, everybody. Just a quick recap of week 3 and some of the observations and discussion from the LDR604 course. I thought they were very good. So I wanted to recap some of my thoughts on those and go through your posts, if you don't mind. Adam brought up some good points of how society and business kind of coexist. And he brought up these things called gray areas about right and wrong. And ethics and social justice, as much as the pundits on TV claim everything's black and white and right and wrong, there is a lot of gray area in this. I think there's a lot of truth in that. He also came up with a fairness and equity and equality component of social justice, which I think is very important. So that was a very good post, Adam. Thank you very much. As a couple others thought it was a pretty good post too. Courtney Price, or who I call KP, hope you don't mind, Courtney, came up with some very interesting ideas and examples. Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, and the Civil Rights Movement. Gave a good personal example on about respecting people's things and the refrigerator at work. Man, I've gone through that in the past, and sometimes people's behavior just drives you nuts. But that's the thing about ethics. It's a very personal thing that gets kind of exploded out when a bunch of people get together into a very public thing. And I'm always of the opinion that those personal ethics are what's most important. Because if you have some personally held beliefs, ethics, and values that are very, very important to you, no matter how many groups or teams you get in, you'll stay true to those. Some folks claim they have personal ethics and values, but once they get with a team or with other people, they kind of go the way of the team. So how important are those values and ethics to those folks? It's up to you to decide. But good post. Courtney, Don Sorrell gave some definitions, which I always like. Thanks, Don, for the definitions from the dictionary. Appreciate that. Don brings in the parents and the people that you come in contact with in your life. And that is one thing I was told a long time ago in a lecture, that what you are, the physical manifestation of yourself, of your ideas and your beliefs, all come from where you've been. You kind of bring your parents and how you were socialized with you in every conversation you have and every organizational interaction you have. You're always bringing that background with you. It always shows, whether you think it does or not, whether you think it's relevant or not. People pick up on that, and you bring in all that. Some people call it baggage. I call it a blessing. It's how you were raised, how you were brought up, all those lessons you learned, whether it's from your parents or from the community or from a mentor or a teacher or a coach or a best friend or whatever, or a situation. You're always bringing that stuff with you. That does help guide how you act and react to things. If you're cerebral about it, if you can think your way through problems, are you very emotional about it? Do you get upset real easy? A lot of that comes from your background. So always be cognizant of that. And thanks for those ideas, Don. Ashley brings up quite a few things. The part I liked was this part about being honest regarding how your folks are doing. Honesty and values, she brought up quite a bit, and I really like that. Now, there are ways to be honest in a professional manner that kind of spares feelings and things like that. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but you do want to give them honest data, honest, timely data. The only thing that really got me upset, I really didn't get upset, I got disappointed in organizations where when people came to me and they tried to skew the data or spin the data so that they looked better. It didn't really look like they made a mistake. And what I'd always tell folks in our teams and in the managers was just tell the truth. Tell what actually happened. Show the data, and the data will speak for itself. Nobody has to spin anything. we had a saying, there are no versions of the truth. The truth is the truth. It's what actually happened. Now, you can spin that a million ways, and there's a dozen cable channels that'll help you do that every single day, but that's not what we're talking about. If you want to be true to yourself and your ethics and your values, be honest with yourself. Things that you truly feel and believe and value, and things you do not. Things you have the ability to do and things you do not. Be honest with yourself, and it will help you be honest with all these other folks. So thanks for that, Ashley. That was very good. Rebecca talks about principles behind examples. Gave an example of technology and people competing with technology, which she's struggling at the pace that things are moving, because things are moving really fast these days. In fact, we don't even have laws for some of the things that happen in the technological world, especially in the social media. There aren't even any laws to catch up with some of the horrible things people are doing to each other in social media and online and technology. So be cognizant of that, but be very careful with the amount of information you have online and any negative information that can hurt you. And that's why in our e-portfolio, we want you to put nothing but positive information in there, positive artifacts and data that shows your capabilities, that shows your value set, that shows your background. Always positive information. And that's what we really, when we do a search for you, we really want to find just the positive information. So if you have any embarrassing pictures from Cancun 20, 30 years ago, last year, try to get them off the internet as quick as you can, because folks will search your name and they will find that stuff. So be very careful with technology. All right. I'm not asking too much of you in these classes in technology, but I know it is new to some people. That's why we're going at a little slower pace through some of this stuff. So bear with me. If you have any questions, anything, use those helplines, and the staff at Siena, they're usually very good on talking you through a problem. So we always have that to fall back on. I use them all the time, by the way. Shannon. What'd Shannon come up with? Shannon gave a personal example of an altercation. And those are interesting. I've been through a few of those in my past, and they're always kind of scary and emotional. I've had people scream at each other. I've had people an inch from my face, beat red, spitting, screaming at me. And as a leader and a manager, you just can't react to that. You can't join them in that level of emotion. You have to try to keep your cool, and man, it's hard to do when somebody's screaming at you in your face. It's very, very hard to do, especially if you're not used to that through your background. I've never had another adult scream at me, because that's not how I was raised. We talked through stuff, or if my parents said something, I just did it. There was no, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'll get to it later. There was mom or dad said something, you got off your butt and you went and got it done. That's how I was raised. I understand that's not how everybody was raised. It's just how I was raised. So the first time I had an adult scream at me in an organizational setting because they were upset because somebody stole their lunch, going back to that example, that was exactly what it was about. I really didn't know how to react to that, because I had an adult the age of my father screaming at me, upset because somebody stole their lunch. And it took me a while to get used to that, but kind of remain professional and remain true to what I believed in and try to talk them down and talk their way through it. So those are hard. I appreciate that, though, Shannon. That was an excellent example. Shakira talks about displaying honesty, being respectful, being positive in a daily manner, standing up for what she believes, which is excellent. She gave it a neat little example about promotions and moving on in a corporation, and the fairness or unfairness of it. And you're going to run into all these things. You're going to run into things like that on a daily basis in corporations and organizations, because they don't always have what's ethical and what's valuable to you in mind when they make their policies and procedures. So just be aware of that people look at things differently. Some organizations judge experience and time served as the end-all be-all. Some look at performance and what you've got done there, whether you've been there a long time or not, as the deciding factor. So it just depends. What I can tell you is just make sure you're ready for every situation you'll face. Do your homework, do a lot of work ahead of time, and those things typically take care of themselves unless there's some underlying problem within the organization. And then sometimes, if that's the fact, and I've had to do this in the past, you just have to leave that organization and go to a better fit. So thanks for listening. I look forward to your views on culture and communication in week 4 and 6:30, and we'll have the same kind of roundup when we look at those. So thanks again.